Chapter 14. Blake called Maribel that night and told her his father was gone. Okay, we'll be there at 5:30 tomorrow morning. Lucian has school at 8, but I'll come back after I drop him off. Great, thanks. Hey, I was hoping to catch you after church today. Sorry, we had to get home. What's up? Nothing. I just wanted to talk, I guess. Would have been nice to have brunch like in the old days, huh? The phone went silent. Blake felt like he was babbling. Girl would come over his house when they were kids for brunch after church. He thought about how much fun they used to have the moment he saw her at church. Well, maybe next week. You're going to be there, right? Church hadn't been his thing for a while, but it had been nice to be there that morning. And it meant so much to his sister. Yeah, I'll be there. The next morning, Blake was up at 4:30. He made apple turnovers, scrambled eggs, and bacon for breakfast. After preparing 5 plates for Maribel, Lucien, and his siblings, he headed out to the barn. It had been a long time since he'd done any work on the ranch, but some of it was like riding a bike. He stopped by the chicken coop first, where he collected eggs and tossed out feed. By the time he made it back to the house, Maribel and Lucien were parking. Lucien burst out of the truck, his eyes wide and eager. Can I cut the hay? Blake smiled. That was the one job he'd liked as a boy. Well, it's a little early in the season for that, but I'll talk to my dad. When it's time, we'll get you over here right after the dew melts and let you cut the field. Really? Yep. If it's okay with your mom, of course. Maribel nodded. She looked tired. Blake felt guilty for getting her up so early. Thanks for coming over to help, you two. I made breakfast. Come on in and eat before we head out. Inside, Blake brewed a strong pot of coffee and set out the plates. This is good. Thank you, Lucien said. Sure thing. I think this morning should be light work. It's early spring, so we really just need to go around and feed all the animals. We probably should clean the horse stalls, too, Maribel said. I was hoping to skip that. It'll be quick if we all work on it, Lucien piped in. You're right. We'll tackle it together. Blake likes to pretend like he's not one of us, but he knows his way around this ranch like nobody's business, Maribel said. False. I'm a terrible rancher. No, that's what's false. You're a good rancher when you want to be, whether you like it or not. Whatever. Why don't you love Friendly? It's the best place to be. How many mornings in those big cities started off like this, quiet and peaceful, and friends coming over to help you with chores? Blake had to admit that it had been a long time since he'd experienced these things. It was quiet and simple. Not easy, but things seemed manageable and Friendly. So, I still have that question for you that I didn't get to ask at church, Lucien said in between bites of bacon. Lucien, we don't have time for questions. We're just here to help Blake, okay? But I need to know. Lucien, Blake said, this place has a lot of things that need to be done, and I have a bunch of work to do at the restaurant. Would you be interested in helping me? The boy's eyes widened. He dropped a piece of bacon back onto the plate and said, Is this a serious proposition? Absolutely. Mom? Maribel smiled. You're free to accept or reject his offer. Really? She rolled her eyes. Don't be too excited. He's trying to get free labor out of you. Lucien accepted Blake's offer, which kept his burning question at bay while they worked. But he knew the boy would eventually ask if he was his father. The open house for Elegance started at 6 p.m. Monday evening, and the residents of Friendly were out in full force. Some had dressed up while others came in Wranglers. Blake was nervous, but proud of the work he and his small team had completed. Maribel and Jordan were dressed in matching black pants and Oxford shirts. Welcome to Elegance, Denise said, using a pair of oversized scissors to cut a large ribbon in front of the building. The crowd clapped and cheered before filing into Elegance. Jeremy smiled and nodded at Blake before taking a seat at a two-top table near the back. Jordan headed over, causing Blake to relax. Good, he thought, heading back into the kitchen. The menu was simple. A warm cabbage salad with Dutch cheese and cranberries as a starter, lamb pierogies, slow-cooked brisket, leek and potato soup, yak meatballs, and chocolate mousse for dessert. What a turnout! I think more than half of the town is here, George said, reaching for 2 plates of yak meatballs. It really is great. This might be more of a hit than I thought, Maribel said. I guess Denise was right. People want to be here. Speaking of people who want to be here, Jeremy wants to talk to you. He asked me to send you over to his table. And those were his words, not mine. Not ask you to stop by, but send you over. Maribel rolled her eyes and headed to Jeremy's table. Jordan told me you wanted to see me. Yeah, have a seat. I'm working. Come on, I'm a customer. It's just hospitality, right? Maribel reluctantly pulled up a chair and sat down. How can I help you, Jeremy? I think it might be time to get that paternity test. For Lucien? No way. He's 12. I'm not putting him through that. Maribel, it's so easy now. All you have to do is get one of those genealogy tests. They sell them over the counter. I'm not going to put Lucien through that. He's 12. He will know exactly why the test is being done. You should have asked when he was a baby. Or maybe you don't want him to take the test because someone else will turn out to be his father. Maribel examined Jeremy's face. Was he serious? There were 2 boys in my life in high school, you and Blake. Remember, I was a tomboy. I had 2 close friends. One of them made me think there was a chance for us to be more than friends. It's not a secret or a mystery. Everyone knows who Lucien's father is, except for you and Lucien. I've kept it from him because I don't want him to think that your absence is anything other than your selfishness. Jeremy leaned across the table and stared into Maribel's eyes. This is a mess, isn't it? Maribel refused to take the bait. She sat stone-faced. He'd have to do more to get her to react. Mar, forgive me for whatever you think I did to you. I want to fix this thing. What are you talking about? Let me take you out. Take me out? Yeah. Let's get together and make some amends. It wasn't something she was interested in, but maybe they could have a talk about Lucien. She's ready to tell him who his father was. I don't date, but I think it's time to sit down and discuss Lucien. He thinks Blake is his father. Really? We should clear things up. I'm willing to do that, but it has to be over dinner. Maribel considered passing on the invitation, but Lucien was only going to get more curious as he got older. She felt like it was time to tell him Jeremy was his father, but she was worried about what would happen after that. Would Jeremy reject Lucien again? Fine, when? Next Friday. Wear something nice. The next morning, Jordan and Maribel were at the restaurant early to change out the menus. It was the first full day of elegance. The featured item of the day was the souffle. Wait until you see how many people want to try the souffle, Blake said. I will be keeping score, Maribel responded. Throughout the day, Blake walked through the dining room and listened to orders as Maribel and Jordan took them. Both were offering the new souffle, but they got very few, if any, takers. At one point, Maribel said, Would you like to try our delicious new souffle? The customer she was talking to scrunched up his nose. No way. What is souffle anyway? Maribel gave Blake a side glance and a wink. He was surprised that nobody was ordering souffle, but he couldn't help but feel just a little excited. Maribel was warming to him. Blake reminisced about the past. What would have happened if he'd stayed in friendly? What if he'd been able to convince Maribel not to hang out with Jeremy? He was sure his life would be a lot different at this point. But no one could change the past. He vowed, if given the chance, he wouldn't leave Maribel again. By the end of the day, only 2 customers had taken a chance on the souffle. Jordan and Maribel high-fived one another. Ready to cook for me, Chef Peterson? No one is going to order eggs divine. Sounds like a label for a hodgepodge meal. We shall see. My money's on Mar, Jordan said. The next morning, Blake was surprised to see Maribel pull up in front of the restaurant at the same time he did. She bounced out of the car with a bright smile on her face. You're early. Yep, I'm preparing for my big victory. Someone's very confident. I should be. Hope you have something tasty lined up for dinner. Blake cruised through the dining room a few times throughout the morning. He heard Jordan and Maribel presenting the options to customers. Eggs divine? That sounds tasty. I'll try that, one lady said. That seemed to be the consensus of the morning crowd. Eggs divine was a winner with the locals. By the time they closed up at midday, 12 people had ordered eggs divine. That beat the number of people that ordered the souffle by 10. So, when are you cooking me dinner? Maribel asked, a sly smirk on her face. How about Saturday? Perfect. What would you like? You'll have to ask Lucien. Oh, so it'll be a total surprise, even to me. Yep. Up for that challenge? Maribel asked. Yeah, I can take the heat. I'll show up at your place at 3 on Saturday. Blake held out his hand for a shake. Maribel gripped his palm and smiled. Elegance was full for both breakfast and dinner, and both Maribel and Jordan were pleased with their tips. Let's go with egg divine from here on out, Blake said. You've proved the point. Maribel smiled. Every now and then I have a good idea. She blinked at him. Is she flirting with me? He thought. Was Maribel starting to warm to him? Blake was careful not to let her know he'd seen the glint in her eye. Well, I'll see you ladies in the morning. Thanks for a great first day. It was nice. See you guys tomorrow, Jordan said. The drive home was peaceful. A cool breeze circulated through Blake's truck as he traveled through town. For the first time since moving back to Friendly, he felt at home. As he pulled down the long driveway to his house, he spotted his dad's truck and his mom's beige Subaru. His heart raced as he parked and rushed toward the front door. Mom? Blake yelled. Calm down. It's not so strange that I'm here, she laughed. I'm so glad you're here. I love you, Mom. Blake held on to his mother for a few seconds before letting her go. His father was standing in the living room behind them. Blake's eyes met his dad's. Thanks, son, his father muttered.